Hi crafters, it's Chloe from Chloe's Creative Cards and I'm back with another project using the Happy Hobbies collection. So this time we are going to be using the dart board to create this lovely, let me have a little look so I can show you, a gatefold card. Now I cannot take any credit for this project. This is one of Rebecca's, but she's put me up to film this one, I'm afraid. So I'm going to show you how to create the darts, and we're going to create the dart board, and we're going to do some embossing as well on here. So this should be a fun one, so please do join me. It's a little bit more of an involved project, but I do think it's a nice one. So hopefully you'll enjoy creating this one with me too. As always, I've listed all of the materials in the description below, and you can shop all of the products online on our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. So I thought the best thing with this project was kind of break it down into small, more usable steps, so then you've got smaller steps to follow along with. So we're going to start off, I'll pop you onto the third camera, there we go. So then we're on the overhead and I can show you how we're going to kind of create this project. So we're going to start off with two 8x8 card blanks, and what we're going to do is cut the front off half of each of them. So I'm going to use my little trimmer that I've got here. Okay, and we're going to go in and just trim the front off. Now, if I can maybe have my larger trimmer from just over there, just so then I can measure the size of the card, because we kind of, in fact, I will show you a different way to do it. This is probably easier actually. We can just fold it back like this. Okay, and then we can just trim that off there. If you want to be really precise, you can measure, but to be honest, oh, actually it's pretty much just under 4 inches. So we'll trim that bit off there. And we're going to do the same with this one, where we'll just fold that back, trim that away, like this. Oh, my card's moved there. There we go. Trim that away, and then we can pop that together like so, and that will then create our gatefold. Now, what I like to do as well is take one of the cards and just trim a little bit off the edge, and then it just means that they sit together a little bit nicer. So, if we take our Dries clear glue, we can then get these two stuck together. So just a little bit of PVA just onto the back. Like this. We can just go in and then we can stick this together like so. And if you use a wet glue, you've got that little bit of time to manoeuvre things about, get them stuck down just into the right place. Like so. And that's then created our little gatefold card ready for the darts. So if we flip this round, I'm going to just trim. This is just me taking it to the extreme. I'm going to trim a little bit off the bottom because I have not stuck that very straight. There we go. Straight through. That's a little bit better. There we go. So we've got our lovely base card there. So if I pop this in on the other camera, you'll be able to see how that is then our little gatefold card. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start and build up our mats and layers on the front. So I've got one that I've partially done and one that I need to kind of stick together. So we've taken a piece of Kraft card and we've just trimmed that down to fit. So we're going to stick that on first. So a little bit of Dries clear PVA. So stick that onto there. Like so. And then we've got a piece of black card which we're going to stick on the top again. So a little bit of Dries clear PVA just onto there. And then we'll stick that one down onto there like so. And then we've got some white card which I've got on foam pads. So I'll stick that one on. And then we've got a bit of blue striped paper, which is from our Happy Hobbies paper pad. And we're going to stick this one on the top. like that. And then we're going to stick this down. Like that. And then we're going to do exactly the same but on the other side. So I'm going to take a little bit of PVA glue all over the back. So I've already kind of pre-stuck together some of these little mats and layers. So you've already seen me do it once, so I thought it's a little bit boring, isn't it? So then we'll take our white card and our stripy piece and we'll stick that down. And then we'll stick that onto here. Okay, and then we're going to take our little pieces of Kraft cards. We've trimmed these down to fit on the top again, and we're going to emboss those. So we're going to use our Woodgrain texture embossing folder. So just pop these in. Like that, and then this is just a standard 2D folder, so we're going to use our cutting plate and our base plate, put this all together and then send that through our die cutting machine, and then we'll grab that at the other side there, and then we'll lift this out, and you can see we've then got our lovely little textured backgrounds. Okay, so you can see how fab that looks. If you want to enhance that further, you could be going over with a little bit of distress ink to kind of highlight that embossing too. So we're going to flip those over, and then we're going to take some foam pads. Just pop some foam pads down the middle. So this is quite a dimensional card, so if you are posting, you would have to pop it in a box. But I feel like it's one of those that you'd kind of give as a bit of a keepsake. So you'd probably kind of hand deliver this kind of project. So we're going to pop that one onto there, and we're going to do the same on the other side and pop this one onto here. Like that. So that's kind of created our little gatefold card for the front. So we're going to do the sentiment in the middle now. So we've used our scalloped and pierced square dies. So we've got one that's been die cut from some Kraft card. We've then got a piece which we've die cut from some black card, which I'm going to stick over the top. And then the next piece, which is the one that I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto, is just cut from some white card. So stick that onto there. And then we'll grab this piece in, and we're using one of the birthday sentiments. And I'm going to use my Versafine Clair ink pad in Nocturne. So we'll ink that up. We're going to position that down into the middle and press. So you want firm, even pressure all over the image. And then you're going to lift that off. And then we're going to pop some foam pads just underneath there and stick this down onto our card. Okay. I'm going to go onto there, and then I've popped some foam pads, but only on one half of this piece, just because we don't want to tape that card shut. So a few foam pads just on the back of there, and then we'll just position that down in the middle and press, and that has then created our little gatefold card. Okay, so next up we're going to do the little happy birthday. So this is from the dartboard stamp and die set, so I'll just peel that off. I'm going to stick that down onto an acrylic block. So we'll position that there. We're going to stamp this down just onto a little bit of white card. So again, I'm just going to use that Versafine Clair ink pad, ink that up, position that down and press. And then we'll just lift that off. We're going to take our heat tool, give that a little blast over. just to make sure that ink's dry, just so it doesn't smudge. If you're at home, you've probably got the time just to be able to kind of let it dry. But we are going speedily today. So we're going to trim down our little happy birthday sentiment. This will then fit onto our card. So we're just going to trim some little foam pads to go onto the back of here. And then we'll peel the back off. And that's going to get stuck just across that bottom corner of the card like that. Okay, and then next up I'm going to show you how to create these 3D darts. So within your dartboard stamp and die set, you get this little die that enables you to create the darts. So I'm going to cut it out of 2 colours. I'm going to do mine in blue and red, but of course you can do some in mirror cards as well, which is what I've got prepped because I have already pre-made some. So we're going to die cut this out, so we'll cut this out twice. One from red, one from blue. So we're going to take this. Let me just get this taped down. There we go. So we'll send that through the machine and then we'll grab that when it reaches the other side. Open that out. And then we are going to take my little pokey tool, there it is. And just push these out of the die, like this. Okay, so that's one little bit done there. Okay, and then we'll do that again, but I've got some Lapis Lazuli pearl card now. Might actually do it twice, just so then we get the right little bits for the darts. So we'll send that through. Oh, 2 minutes. Get myself in a right knot here. There we go. Through we go. Through that die cutting machine, then we'll grab that at the other side, and again we'll just push these through. Oh, I've cut into my plastic shim. Right, so I'll push these through like this, just to get these kind of released and out of the die. Okay, pop that to one side. I'm going to do one more in the blue, just because it'll then mean that the little ends are all right, and you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. So we're going to send this through, grab that at the other side, and we're going to just push these through. Like this, and we'll just pop that to one side. Okay, I'm going to pop the overhead back in so you can see how we're going to build the little dart up. So you're going to take your little base piece, okay, and then you can take the little barrel that goes on the middle like this. So we're going to pop that down onto here, just with a little bit of glue. So stick that there. And then you can pick which end you'd like for the dart. So we've got like this one that's kind of got little flames on, or we've got kind of the more classical design as well. So we'll go with the classical one. So we're literally going to just fold this in half. Oops. Fold the other one in half. Stick those together. So just a little bit of glue. It's dead easy to do this as well. So you're just going to stick them together like this. Just needs a little bit of time to dry, that's the only thing. And then you can literally just stick it onto the top of here. So again, it's the drying time. So then that goes under there. There we go, and that then creates your little 3D dart ready to go onto your project. So I've got another one to make, so let's make that one up as well, because this is exciting. I like doing things like this. So we'll pop this to one side. Move all of my bits and pieces out of the way there. So I've got some that are already made up here, and then I've got another one to do here. So on this one, we've done the base in the Lapis Lazuli, and then we've die cut the middle bit, but we've done it in gold mirror card. And I'm going to show you how to make the little top piece again. So we're just going to fold that in half, like that. Little bit of PVA glue on the back. We're going to stick this one together, like this. Give it a good squish. You could always use a peg or something actually just to hold it as well, to be honest. So we'll stick that there. And then we're going to use a little bit of PVA glue just to stick onto there. And then that would be your little dart ready to go onto your project. So we're going to get these stuck down now. So bring our card blank back in. Okay, so we're going to have a red one, and then we want a little one with a red top, the one I've just made, go in there, and a little gold top one there. So to stick these on, I would normally use a little bit of glue at home, but because I kind of need them to stick like yesterday, I'm going to use a little bit of a foam pad. But you could use a little bit of 3D glue gel or something along those lines, would probably be a little bit better. So I'm just going to use a foam pad today, just because it kind of instantly sticks them on then. Okay, so then you can kind of position your little darts. One there, another one there. Nearly stuck this one to the table. Put that one there. There we go. And then we're going to do the same in the top corner. So we'll take this one first, foam pad on the back, stick that one down onto there. Little foam pad on the back. Stick that one onto there. And then one more little foam pad on the back, and then stick this one onto here. Okay, and then to finish my card, I'm going to shuffle this one right. See, this is why I like using 3D glue gel, because then you can move things rather than foam pads. It's a bit less permanent. There we go. So then, to finish the front of the card, I'm going to grab in some little self-adhesive sparkles. So these are those. And I could do some little tweezers, would be handy. There we go. So we're going to use some of like the coppery coloured ones and just dot a couple of these about in the background. Some bigger ones. So then we can just add these like this. Couple more. Again, these are optional. You don't have to put the bling on if you don't want to, but I mean, I would put the bling on. I think you've got to add a little bit of sparkle, haven't you, somewhere? And these aren't kind of too in your face sparkle. It's a subtle sparkle, let's just say. There we go. So we've built that background up there. So now we're going to do the inside of the card. So if I open this out, we've used the dartboard and then created these panels at the side. So I'll show you how to do the panels first. So if we open our card out like this, okay, I'm going to just pop that to the back. I've got 2 pieces of card here, so I've got some Kraft card and a bit of black card. So a little bit of PVA glue just on the back. So we'll stick that one down onto there. And then a little bit of PVA glue onto here. And then we'll stick that one down onto there. Like this. I'm just going to pop that to one side. And I'm going to take my little guillotine I've buried underneath the counter. So I'm going to cut, let me trim this down properly. So I'm going to cut a little strip that's just 1/4 inch. So I'm going to do 4 of those. So I'm using the little measurements on my guillotine to trim those down to try and get them nice and even. Okay. And then we are going to stick these in. So we're going to take a little bit of PVA glue. And I don't think there's a kind of right or wrong way to do this. Just try and get a little bit of glue onto the back so that you can get it stuck down. Put one there. I feel like I haven't got that very straight. There we go. Trim that little section away. And then that one. And we'll do the same on the other side. So we're just going to take a little bit of PVA glue. Run that down, and I'm just going to kind of try and mirror what I've done basically. So then that can go on there. And a little bit of glue just on the back of there. And I'm going to line those 2 up so then I can kind of get that line in about the same place. So we'll pull that across there. We'll snip that a little bit off at the end. There we go. So we're going to stick those on the inside of the card, and I've got a couple more mats and layers to stick in. So we'll get those in too. So if we bring our card back in, pop a little bit of glue just onto these, like that. This one's going on this side. Get myself all confused now. There we go. And then the other one's going on the other side. There we go. And then I've got a piece of Kraft card, which we're going to stick in the middle. In there, like that. And then I've got a piece of the wood patterned paper from the Happy Hobbies paper pad. So a little bit of glue on the back of there. And then we'll stick this one down. There we go. And then I've got a little bit of black card, which I'm going to stick in. And then the next bit I'm going to stamp. So we'll stick this piece down. Like that. I'm going to put that to one side for now. And I'm going to bring my piece of white card in. And I've got my little bullseye 180 ready to stamp all the way around the edge. So we're going to take our black ink pad. So I'm using my Versafine Clair again. Oh, making a right pig's ear of that. There we go. So we're going to start by stamping in the corner. So I'm going to go about there. And then I'm just kind of going to work my way along. So I'll do another one there. Like that. And then I'm going to turn that round. And we'll do that one there. I'm re-inking each time. To go there. I'm not stressing either about it not being perfectly straight. It's fine if it's not. One there. And I'm re-inking each time so we get that nice crisp black image. The one there. There we go. So we've created that lovely little frame going around the edge there. So I'm going to pop that to one side so that can be drying. And while that's drying, we'll create our darts board. So I've got my stamp already mounted onto an acrylic block. And we're going to use that Versafine Clair black ink pad again. So we're going to ink this up really, really well. So lots of ink on here. Like this. Okay, and then we're going to stamp this down onto our card. So again, you want firm, even pressure all over the image. And we'll lift this off. I think I've got everywhere there. There we go. Oh, I've missed a little bit at the bottom. I wonder if I can go again. Don't dare risk that. What I'm going to do is, if I've got, let me see if I've got a black pen. Because if I have, I can just go in, little cheats method here. If you miss a little bit, you can just go in and infill, and then no one will ever know. There we go. It's obviously just where I've not quite pressed hard enough, because we have to work at a bit of a weird angle because of the counter height. It's a little bit difficult sometimes for stamping. So then I want my clear gloss super fine embossing powder. So we're going to pop that over the top like this. There we go. And we'll heat this up. There we go. And then you can take your red and green pen and just go around and colour these in. So we'll do this one. Like this. So I'm just using Copic markers. So I've just picked out a red and a green. So I've got cadmium red and a green, which I'll grab in a moment. So again, just colouring these little sections in. Don't need to be kind of too careful with this. You can just colour in and then colour these little bits in. this. Colour the centre in, and then we're going to go around with the green and colour in with this one too. And again, while you're at home, you will have a bit more time than me. So this is ocean green that I'm using. But you can see how we can just go and fill this colour in like this. And there we go, and then we can take our dye, pop that over the top. Ready to die cut our board out. And take that, and then we'll take, this is quite a simple shape, so I'm just going to use my base plate, my plastic shim, and my cutting plate on the top. So quickly send that through the Gemini, and then we also need to emboss our little wooden background. So we'll grab our embossing folder back out too. So we've got our darts board there, nicely die cut out, and then I've got a little square of Kraft card. So we'll take this and pop that into the folder. And then again, your two kind of, your cutting plate and your base plate are the ones you want to use. So then we'll send this through the machine like this. There we go. And we'll grab that at the other side and lift this out. Okay. And then we'll just stick this back together. So we'll bring our base card back in, and then we'll take our little bullseye 180. So we'll get this stuck down first. Oops. Like this. And then that can go there. Okay. And then we'll take our little bit of textured wood, and we'll stick this one down onto here. So that can then just slot in there. And then we've got our darts board, which I'll pop on some foam pads. And that can go straight into the middle, like that. And that would then be your finished project. So you can see it's something that looks quite complex, but once you start to kind of break those steps down, you can make it so it's a lot more achievable and a lot easier to make. So I'll pop the little cards in, and I'll just pop the other camera in so that you can have a little look. So this is the one that we have just made. So we've made the darts, and then we've done the inside as well. So that was using the Happy Hobbies collection. All of the products that I've used are available from our website, which is www.chloescreativecards.co.uk. Now, of course, all of the items that I've been using today are listed in the description below, so please do have a little look in there. And if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got lots of inspirational card making videos on there, so please do take a look. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for joining me. Bye.